Hello and welcome to today's webinar. My name is Daniela, and as part of the webinar team, I'm your host today. In this webinar, we're going to talk about the challenges in the public sector industry and how Cisco AppDynamics can help. In particular, you'll hear a detailed real-life customer example with the London School of Economics and Political Sciences and their journey with Cisco AppDynamics. Before we kick off, I'm obligated to share this legal notice slide with you. The content and materials shown today are confidential and property of Cisco AppDynamics. Moving on, please note that the console you're looking at is completely customizable. Please have a look at the widgets at the bottom of your screen. You will find additional resources, the speaker bios, and of course the Q&A widget. Speaking of the Q&A widget, please note that we will try to cover every question that you ask at the end of the session today. If we haven't covered your question, we are going to reach out to you per email. Lastly, this webinar is going to be recorded and you'll receive a link to it within 24 hours, so please feel free to share it with your colleagues. And with that, I'll hand it over to Sam. Thank you.
Thanks, Daniela, and hello everybody. My name's Samuel Dovey and I'm responsible for the public sector for Cisco AppDynamics. And today we're going to be talking around trends in the public sector, Cisco's observability strategy, and have a real life example with one of our customers that we'll be introducing very shortly to you. So as you can see from this slide, around 70% of government agencies understand that the move to cloud is very important, and that's preferential for citizen and mission data. And of course, other drivers are around sustainability and ability to scale. We know there's a big journey for public sector in relation to that, because around 73% of data still lives on premise. And we know that one of the key things that's driving almost 50% of decision makers and the barrier to cloud adoption is around security. So in relation to that move to cloud and strategy of managing critical applications in environments where some are on-prem due to data and information assurance, some of them may be in the cloud for efficiency and scalability and sustainability. Cisco AppDynamics wanted to develop a observability strategy. We understand that the back end of all organizations have become a lot more complicated. Even though customers and citizens, be them students, be them patients, or citizens trying to do a tax return, want to have performance secure applications. It's not clear to the user how complicated the back-end environment is in relation to cloud, on-prem, and SaaS environments. That drives more data, and with siloed tools, and in some cases no tooling at all, it drives more war room scenarios. So Cisco has developed its observability strategy looking at the network with Thousand Eyes, looking at the infrastructure and applications with our observability strategy AppDynamics, and all of this enhances citizen experience and improves organizational efficiencies and outcomes. And you may ask, what's the difference between monitoring and observability? So if we think about monitoring, we're essentially looking at what's happening with an application, and we have an alert identifying that there is a problem. The problem is, once we've got that alert, it's already impact citizen experience, the technology teams within the organization. It's driven inefficiency and increased cost, which detracts from organizations trying to focus on their transformation journey. The difference between that and observability is we're not using one siloed tool. It's a number of tools all working together in a holistic fashion. And if we take the application as an example, our machine learning as part of our application performance monitoring tool looks at the dynamic baseline of an application. And then if an application starts to work outside of that baseline, it will drive an alert to the tech teams, and That will enable them to proactively deal with an issue before it impacts citizen experience and starts to drive war room scenarios, which will drive inefficiency and cost. And we can actually drill down all the way to code level of a particular application transaction that could impact the citizen. So it's a very powerful tool for reducing mean time to identification and resolution. And if we talk about our portfolio and how that works and integrates together, if we think about the front end user devices, whether they're utilizing a PC or a smartphone to access an application, we can look at the behavior of that user. We can then link into the actual network or the SaaS providers functionality to ensure if there's any issues from a telemetry perspective that are driving problems. Is it a network issue? And then we can work all the way through to the back end of the application, looking at the dependencies of that application and drill all the way down to code level on a particular area. So it's holistic and it covers the entire stack. So I'd now like to take the opportunity to introduce one of our customers, London School of Economics and Political Science. They've been a user of Cisco AppDynamics for 11 years. They originally selected Cisco AppDynamics to monitor and observe some of their key applications. And this included LSE for You portal and the undergraduate course selection application. These applications are legacy for LSE and critical in nature. And Cisco AppDynamics helped identify challenges with LSE key applications, reduce mean time to identification and resolution. This enabled London School of Economics and Political Science to amend code to significantly reduce any future issues, improve student and employee experience, which of course improves efficiency, reduce costs, enables them to focus on their transformational objectives. So I'd now like to take the opportunity to introduce Derek Alexander from London School of Economics and Political Science to deep further into application performance monitoring and what it means to LSE. Hi Derek, hope you're well today. Can you tell us a little bit about yourself and your role at LSE, please?
Thank you, Samuel. Yeah, my name's Derek Alexander, and my current job title is Senior Software Developer. I've been at the LSE for over 20 years now, working in software development. When I started as a junior developer, full stack, Java, Oracle. Over the years, that's evolved, and I would say that what I'm working as now is mostly as a tech lead, leading teams of developers and we are working to continue the operation of business critical software that we've developed over the years, and also adapting that software to the changing business processes. The LSE itself is typically one amongst the top 5 universities in the UK, and globally it's amongst the leader in the sector for subject areas such as social sciences.
Fantastic. Thanks for the background, Derek. It sounds very impressive, and certainly you've had a long tenure at LSE. So you've mentioned, the very high standing of LSE globally and within the UK. So just in terms of your experience and insights, looking back at sort of general software development in that HE sector, what are the main sort of challenges and issues that universities may face from your point of view and experience?
It's been an interesting 20 odd years, I have to say. When we started out, there was very little on the market, very few products to support universities. And yet there was already the demand I started in 2001, and there was already quite a strong demand for operations to be moved online, for people to be able to complete administrative tasks online, people to be able to access their personal information, their course results, whatever, online. So there was this pressure, yet the market the main vendors, maybe it wasn't interesting enough for the big vendors. And also another aspect of it is that most universities have very particular processes. They've all done their things, their administrative processes in different ways. So maybe a solution developed by a vendor would not suit all universities. So for that reason, there was quite a strong demand for us to come in and develop bespoke solutions for many of our business processes.
Yeah, that makes sense. And thanks for giving us some insights into challenges within higher education and experiences at LSE. So if we look at specific development at LSE, what were the main challenges you were facing, and what specific issues did you have related to the changes that you needed to make?
I mean, one of the issues has been, I mean, in the public sector is not massively funded. We're not rolling in cash. So in terms of the resources available for developing and maintaining so much software, it's always a challenge keeping that all running, and adapting it to the changing needs. And one thing one pressure that we always have is the changing expectations of users. And these are completely out of our control, and they're driven by what our users are experiencing in the outside world. So they're experiencing the Facebooks, Spotify, Netflix, all the maybe a completely different standard than we're able to achieve. But this is what they come to achieve. They come to achieve much slicker user interfaces, multiple device, support for multiple devices, faster response times. And we have to keep up with that constant evolution of expectations.
Yeah, and I can imagine that very demanding, isn't it? Particularly with the speed at which things are evolving. So, Derek, when we're talking about your clients, essentially, we've got students, teachers, lecturers, donors, and many more. Can you give us some insights into the types of services the applications are providing, please?
Yeah, and that's interesting. Over the years, we've produced so many different applications. Some of them, in time, they've been superseded, and eventually that something comes out on the market that can do the task, and we retire our own bespoke application. Along the way, we've done everything from elections, student union elections, to wallets for paying for printing and paying for services in the library. We've had course selection, timetabling, the allocation of students to groups to build up the balanced timetables. We've got exam results. There's the typical personal data. We often have to collect extra personal data for the government. Government requires us to collect so much data from the students, so we do that. We've been involved in admissions. Collecting the information from the students as they're applying.
It's really interesting, Derek, to hear all the different services that you're providing, all the applications that you're monitoring and providing to the different areas of the university. And from the conversations we've had over the years, I understand that some applications are not used by a great amount of users, but they're used on a regular basis. But you have a certain application that's used by a huge amount of users, but not massively frequently. Can you tell us a bit more about that, please?
That's right. We have all sorts of different user needs. To give an example, we've got some very specialist applications. For example, our regulations builder application, which is used by just a tiny small team, but it's very complex. It allows that team to manage the complexities of the program regulations. On the other hand, we've got applications such as course selection, which are used by, we split it up into, we've got undergraduate separate from postgraduate. But for example, our undergraduate course selection application is used by all undergraduates, but only for a very small amount of time. They use it virtually just for a few weeks at the very beginning of the year.
Right.
And And we open this process at a very precise and published time, because some of our courses have got a limited number of spaces on them. There are, due to they've got the people teaching these courses, there's only the one. In some of the cases, it's so specialist that we've got just one teacher who can teach it, and therefore you might only restrict it to 30 students. In situations like that, it becomes maybe a bit of a race. There's a lot of competition to get onto these courses. So we publish when our course selection process is going to open, and we have literally thousands of students exactly at that moment in time, at 10 o'clock on a Tuesday morning, for example, hitting our systems, trying to get a place onto that course. Not all of them on the same course, fortunately, but the demand is there and it's very high.
Yeah, I can imagine. And can you show us any examples of that at all, and what the Cisco's observability monitoring tool has done for you in relation to an application like the course selection application?
Yeah, so we now run that process. We run it using a queuing system. We actually want to control the number of people at a time to allow people in fairly, but also to control the access to the system. We literally can't have thousands all at once, exactly at the same moment in time, hitting the system. We control the access. However, to know how many people we can let in at a time, we need that insight into our application. We need to be able to see how is our application performing, and it's for that we've created dashboards. And I'll share here. We have a dashboard for every layer in our architecture, but I'll share here one of the layers.
Fantastic! It'd be great to see.
So, I trust you can see what I've shared here.
Yeah, see that.
So this is a dashboard from our undergraduate course selection app in production stage, taken during the opening period of the undergraduate course selection process. So this is the time at 10. It was 10 o'clock on the 29th of August. This is where we opened it for continuing students, those going into their second, third, and fourth years. So at 10 o'clock. No, I work in Italy. I work from Italy, so this is showing my local time, which is 11, but that was 10 o'clock UK time. At 10 o'clock UK time, we had a big queue, a waiting room full of undergraduate students, all waiting to select their courses. And at 10 o'clock, the process opens, and we start letting them through the queue. We use a third-party queuing solution. But what we need to know is how many at a time we can let through the queue, what we should set the outflow at. And this is what we use this dashboard for. We have this dashboard, and we have a similar one for every stage in our every layer in our distributed architecture. And we use these dashboards to monitor the application itself. One of the you can see how the load increased. People come in advance. They don't wait. They're coming from about an hour in advance. They're really raring to go. And at 10 o'clock, we let them through. We start letting them through. So that's where the biggest increase in load is. And one of the things we're most interested on is we're interested to see what effect that's having on the JDBC connections. This is one of the critical resource points, potential bottlenecks in the app. For this event, we increase our pool to 40. We ensure that we've got all of these connections up and running. But I'm pleased to see that in the event, it looks like we only went to a maximum of 9 connections per server, which means we were well within our safety levels.
Fantastic.
On the other hand, another one of the resource potential bottlenecks is the threads. So Tomcat is configured with a number of threads. I think we have ours configured to 800. That's 400 per server, and we are monitoring to ensure that, if somebody's waiting for a connection, they'll be blocking on a thread, and we can only have so many. We don't want all of our threads to be given up. Otherwise, again, somebody will get a 404 or a 500 error or something. So we keep an eye on our threads. A third factor we want to keep an eye on is the resource times. And we can see here that on one particular server, the response times, we can see how the response times were increasing beyond what we would want to see, really, but they weren't exaggerate. I mean, 5 seconds is for our purposes, that could be acceptable in this peak period where we've got the super demand on the application. Again, another potential place that the system could break down is with the heap filling up or the CPU becoming maxed out for a long period of time. So we've got that onto this diagram. And importantly, errors. We don't want to see any errors, and I'm pleased to say that we didn't have any errors. So that was fine. All in all, this what we were seeing here gave us the confidence to increase. We start letting people out through our queuing system slowly. We let 50 per minute through. The moment we see it's working properly, we increase that to 100, to 150, to 200, even beyond that 250 per minute. And we can get all of the students that were there waiting and the ones that are arriving late, slightly later, we can get them through the system safely without seeing any errors. This information here is invaluable. Otherwise, we would simply be letting people through in the dark with no idea at what level to set the outflow from the queue.
Fantastic. Thanks, Derek. It's great to see the insights, Derek, of how you're monitoring your environment. So in terms of what it means to you and the technology team, improved efficiencies and giving you time back, how valuable and noticeable has that been to LSE?
Well, I'd say that there's some great features within AppDynamics. When I was producing this dashboard, I had up to another 4 different layers within the distributed model that I wanted to monitor with exactly the same diagrams. The only thing that was going to be changing was the actual application. And then, so taking that, we got 5 or 6 layers monitored in this way. We've also got 3 stages. So we've got our development environment, our test environment, and our production environment. So that takes it up to 18. I wanted 18 very similar dashboards. And I was worried. I'd created this in the development stage, and I was worried like this. Am I going to have to do that all this pointing and clicking 18 times more? AppDynamics had a great feature. I was able to simply export the configuration of this dashboard as JSON. Then in my text editor, search and replace the app name with a different app, or replace the environment part of the name with a different stage. So I was replacing dev for test or test for prod. And, it really just took me minutes to create 18 very similar dashboards to this. The first one, yep, a little bit of work, but all the others so quick. So that was really a great help, a great efficiency through the tool.
So in terms of reliability then, this must be very impactful.
It is invaluable. We just simply wouldn't be able to do this without it. I can give another example for where we changed our timetabling system. We have what we call our student allocator. It's part of the timetabling process that allocates undergraduate students to their teaching. During the COVID period, we had to massively change the algorithm. We had students, for the very first time at the LSE, students studying overseas. So they were studying online. But we also, at one point during the pandemic, we had, when it was less critical, we also had a hybrid teaching. We had some students in the classrooms while others were actively participating online. And we had students in different time zones. We had students, we divided the globe into 3 time zones for our own purposes. We had the East, the center, including London itself, and the West with Canada, the United States, and South America. So we didn't want anybody to be having to study online, like live online in the middle of the night. So we would try to timetable the people according to the time zone they were in. Put the people in the Far East, they would be put into what was in the UK a morning class. And people in the West, they would be in an afternoon class. Thus, it would be probably morning for them when they were taking this. This massively changed the algorithm. We wanted to be, and we couldn't afford failure, because when we do our timetabling, we've got real limitation of time. We have to get it done in a short period of time between the students selecting their courses and the start of teaching. So what we used AppDynamics there to monitor the heap. We were able to monitor the effect of this. We were able to both monitor the effect the changes to the algorithm were having on response times in terms of the process of allocating, and also to monitor the heap to see what effect it was having on memory. And thus we were able to size our heap accordingly. And then we were able to leave the system running with confidence that during the time, our timetables team do a lot of outside hours work in that period. So they were able to use it during the night, and we would have the confidence it was going to run. There would be sufficient memory to run the app, do the allocation process. It works. It worked very well.
Fantastic. That's great to hear. It's really interesting as well to hear how you handled that COVID period. And just in terms of the sort of evolution of your dashboard, have things changed a lot over the last sort of 11 years?
Over the years, there's been an increased interest at the LSE in student experience. That the students are getting the best experience possible in all parts of their academic life, including the IT services, the online services. So in the last few years, we've particularly concentrated on improving the experience with regard to the course selection process, which this app, undergraduate course selection, is part of. And to that extent, we've taken a much more, we started using this as a kind of live tool to monitor the apps during these really busy events, these points where all the students are at once are selecting their courses. They're all coming at a specific time. So that's what, and we have, the way we work that is we have a control room. We're all there in a control room is a Teams call. There's 5 or 6 engineers. Well, there's people from the engineers, there's people from the business. We're all there watching several things, including the AppDynamics dashboards. And they are giving us a clear real-time indication of how the app is working and whether we are delivering that experience to the students. And they allow us to make the adjustments necessary. And we really do. For example, if we do see the number of connections rising and getting critical, we can put a pause on our queuing system. We can just pause the outflow, make everyone who's still in the queue just wait a couple of minutes longer to try to avoid getting that situation where the whole system jams up and we get deadlocks and we get errors. So it allows us to respond in real time.
Fantastic. That sounds amazing, and really interested about the student experience and the importance of that within LSE. So in terms of students logging on to the course selection app, how has AppD improved their student experience based on the functionality of it and how it's helped you from a technology perspective?
Well, previously we had a lot of problems with this app. It was designed like 20 years ago, the undergraduate course selection app, but over the years the process has changed and like tweaks have been made, but on the whole no major revamp has yet been done. In the meantime, I would say that the number of students has massively increased. The number of courses has increased. A number of courses became some of the courses are limited in their intake. There's only so many teaching staff who can maybe teach a subject, therefore these courses are capped. And this makes the whole process become, for some students, something of a race, that they want to make sure they get a place on a particular course. So this app was starting to kind of perform very badly. We used AppDynamics in two places with that. We used it when we were trying to analyze the system. We built load tests to simulate the load, and we used AppDynamics to monitor the results of those and to identify where the bottlenecks were in the application. We were then able to resolve those bottlenecks. In fact, we resolved them, all of them, so we could get the whole system running smoothly without a single error. We actually traced it. There had been some deadlock in the database, the way that it was holding on to records. It needs to check the number of students who are already allocated onto a course before it can add somebody, so they don't overfill. And it was holding locks, and then it was holding multiple locks. We got deadlock situations. We managed to completely resolve them together using our load tests together with AppDynamics to monitor the outcome. And then, as I've already mentioned, we were then also able to use it at the runtime to ensure that people flowed through correctly without any of the systems jamming up. While monitoring at runtime, we also noticed some interesting things. I thought we'd solved every problem. I thought I had 40 connections on both my servers, like already established to the database. But from the chart that it gives us here, I found that on one server, we were still having to recreate connections, which really surprised me. It didn't quite hit the max, but this really surprised me. What I found when I traced it after the event, I found that what had happened was one of our servers on a remote data center is going through our firewall. The firewall was breaking our long-standing connections. Now, the app isn't being used before the event because the event opens at 10 a.m. So the app hadn't re-established those connections. Having learned that from AppDynamics, what was happening, I was able to actually address that in the configuration. We now have a background checker checking every connection within an hour, verifying it is working, and thus we never have that problem again. When I got 40 connections established, they really are established now. So definitely amazing insights from the product.
Fantastic, Derek. That's really good to hear how it's impacted in a positive manner LSE from a technology perspective in you and the team, but also from a student experience perspective. Thanks for explaining that. So Derek, LSE recently procured Cisco Secure application, which detects vulnerabilities, works in real time, and helps with code specific level vulnerabilities in libraries, and gives you really good visibility to be prepared in terms of any attacks such as a log4 shell. What was the thought process behind bringing Cisco Secure application as an addition to AppDynamics?
Yeah, well, you're probably aware that security is a major concern for most institutions, and universities are regularly targeted. So we want always looking to increase our security. To me, the AppDynamics Cisco Secure app is the ultimate concept. It is there monitoring, it is securing the actual application that is running. And it is going to warn us if we have vulnerabilities, which means now there are certainly other ways you can do this. You can do static analysis before, and I think that they complement. But if I was to only have one tool, I would want Cisco Secure. That I would want a tool that is running at runtime, that is going to let us know if there is not only if there's any vulnerability in our code base, but if they've been exploited, what we should be replacing it with. It just seems to me that it is if you've only got one tool, that's the one you want.
Fantastic. That's great to hear. What the view and sort of the plan to utilize and gain the benefit from another area of Cisco's observability portfolio.
Another great thing with the Cisco Secure was that it harnesses the existing AppDynamics agents. Now we've already got those installed onto our JVMs. We're already maintaining those installations. There was no extra work involved for us in rolling it out. We only had to click a few buttons of access control on the dashboards, and that was it. And we've got Cisco Secure implemented, which is a great advantage.
Yeah, no, absolutely. No, it's so powerful, that is. It really is. Thanks, Derek. So, Derek, as we have come towards the final parts of today's discussion, based on your 11 years of experience of observability and AppDynamics, the implementation into LSE, the huge improvements in monitoring the applications and student experience and efficiencies, what would be your top tips for other public sector entities and higher education institutions in terms of what they should do for their observability journey based on your experience?
Well, I would say that user experience is the number one factor. Keeping the customers happy, that's both staff and students in the case of a university. And in order to do that, you want availability is one of the key things. The app has to be there, and it has to be there when people are expecting it to be there. Which means it needs to be able to cope with those spikes. When your business processes present you with spikes, the app needs to be able to cope with them. Beyond that, we also people want things to be able to respond at speed, and my experience is that requires a continuous tuning. It's like your car; it's not just going to run for years the same as it did when you bought it. It needs regular servicing. You need to be looking at you need to be monitoring the performance metrics and ensuring that it's continuing to perform in the way that it was originally.
Fantastic. Now that makes complete sense, and you know, I think you're so ahead of the curve and so innovative in terms of implementing observability 11 years ago. So you've got so much experience. So I think, our audience are going to really take notice of that. So now I'd like to take the opportunity to thank you for your time today, Derek. It's been great to understand more about you and your role, about the implementation of AppD over the last 11 years, around London School of Economics and Political Science and how they've adapted to increasing student numbers, of course, managing COVID-19 with the strategies that you implemented, and how AppDynamics has been a key part of your observability journey to improve efficiencies. And as you rightly said, really focus on that student experience, which is the reason why London School of Economics is rated such a great university. So thank you very much for your time, and look forward to speaking to you soon. Thanks.
Thank you, Sam.
So for everyone that's listening today, thank you for your time, and please do feel free to contact us with any further questions you may have. Thank you.